Tell me how much the house has changed over the years. How was it? What was sort of the arrangement of the rooms?
Well, it's the same, because this has never been. The only difference is that the box room, as we used to call it, which was my bedroom after Auntie Emmy went into the Royal Hospital and Home, that is now a bathroom. I've had it about 20 years now. In fact, it's a good job really that you didn't come about a fortnight ago. Well, you'd have had to have used the outside toilet if necessary. I've had a lot of sewage problems, which is a bit worrying, you know, because I've had this bathroom 20 years and never had it before. But people have been down about 3 times and they've put all sorts of things through, so I'm crossing my fingers now that it is clear, but it was a bit worrying, that. But otherwise it's changed very little, because this is not a house that has been modernised, you see. I mean, I'm not the owner and I couldn't afford to have it modernised. But we fought a bitter battle with the then Labour Council just as my father died, and he was very bitter because he'd voted Labour all his life, and the word Conservative was like a dirty word to my father, and Labour wanted to pull all these houses down when they redeveloped at the back. It was the old workhouse at the back of us, and when they pulled it down, it was about 200 years old, they wanted to take these houses as well, and the fight was just starting as my father died. It wasn't easy because, I mean, when you're at work all day, I had to ask for a particular day off when we had the, I forget what they called it now, but when we had the big main do. I mean, you go to these places and it's like a court, and they make you feel, you know, as though you're guilty of something. That's how they make you feel. Not that you're fighting for the home that my father could never afford to buy, but had been here all his, well, nearly all his married life. As I say, they lived in Vanderbilt till the youngest brother was 4 years old when they moved here. But but anyway, they did, first of all, they were going ahead with it, and then somebody in Whitehall overruled it, so we were fairly. See, what happened is that it was going on such a big scale at that time. They had places boarded up, even the bottom of this road was boarded up, and it becomes what they call a twilight zone. You don't hear that much now, but that's what happens, and that sends the places down more, because it's so depressing when they start boarding places up. Well, they did it on such a huge scale over Southfields and Tooting Way that all the people got up in arms about it, you see. So we were lucky there because we had all their support, you see. And I had to rush off to meetings when I come home from work and everything. Once I went right over to Mitcham to the cricketers, and when I got there it had been cancelled. Oh, it was maddening, because by the time you get back it's about 9 o'clock at night then, you know, and you're starving sort of thing. But as I say, we won the day in the end, and my father never lived to see it, you know. He was jailed, the one, we fought against 6 of the councillors, and the instigator was jailed for being in league with an Italian builder, so, which I expect means he done about 4 years, because they never hardly do the time they're given, do they? So.
Do you know what rent your parents paid when they first moved in?
I can't tell you offhand, but I've got the rent papers in the deed box out there, but it was very little compared to now, I can tell you, because they brought us up in line with council tenants quite a long while ago, and of course it goes up regularly every 2 years, whereas our pensions don't go up to match it. That's the trouble, you know. People could be more independent if they wouldn't have to ask for income support, and unfortunately I haven't had to yet, but they wouldn't have to ask for a lot of these things if the pensions went up to correspond with the rents they pay or whatever, you know. And now we've got what I call the uppies coming in because they can afford all these exorbitant prices. I mean, one place down here, a few yards down, they're asking 242,500. I mean, my poor parents who struggled to make ends meet, well, they wouldn't understand, would they? They just wouldn't understand, you know. I say they must turn over in their graves, I should think.
So how different is it now around here to when you were growing up here?
Well, as I say, we're getting a lot more of these, much more. Well, they all earn such big money, don't they? Now we're getting more of those in. There's not many of us left. There's an old chappie at 56. He's 90 odd, and he was one of those who was on the committee with me when we fought compulsory purges. But he can barely stagger from one room to the next, sadly. And then I had a dear old neighbour here. He outlived his wife by 15 years, but he died 2 years ago. Well, now you see they're much more wealthy couple that have moved in there. She has her own business and everything, you see. So, oh yes, it's altered quite a lot. And the lady who lived there nearly all my life opposite, she's gone now. She's not dead, but she had a stroke or something and had to go in home. I mean, I'd obviously like to keep up this place as long as I can look after it, because you tend to look on it as your own, even if you can't afford to buy it, you know, and it was always way out of our means.